Hello, thanks for having me. Hopefully you missed me. If you didn't, I can't blame you. There's a lot of people in my life that don't miss me when I'm gone. But today we're back to be a little pessimistic, talking about some of the biggest losers from the NFL draft. As a wise man once said, that's a big L, and I ain't talking about Cool J.
You a big L and I ain't talking about Cool J.
And we got quite a few of those idiots on this list. So before I continue rambling, let's get straight to the list and hit the intro. All right, listen, this is a tough one for me to come to grips with. I was all over the James Robinson bandwagon ever since he was born, ever since he walked out of the womb weighing 220. He's the only fat running back that I showed any sort of leeway with. And he proved me right, even though I told some guy on Twitter to pick up Divino Zigbo over him. Shout out to you. Hopefully you're getting back and better than ever from COVID. I think that was Raquel Armstead. Whatever the case may be, he wasn't on the field. James Robinson ate his fucking lunch, took his lunch money, and did so to the tune of 1,400 yards from scrimmage. You know what that led Urban Meyer to do? Take a running back in the first round. The guy's an animal. He's a freak in nature. They choose Travis Etienne because they gave Trevor Lawrence that Patrick Mahomes treatment and said, hey, we got you 101. Who do you want? Trevor Lawrence, with that Clemson education, thinks into his massive brain and says, you know what? Let's get a running back to shore up this offense. Awesome move, Trevor. Now you push James Robinson, one of the better running backs of 2020, to the wayside for a 200-pound running back that is now moonlighting as a 215-pound running back, the true definition of a sheep in lion's clothing. And now we hear that Urban Meyer saying, okay, we want him to be a third down back. We want him to be a scat back. We want James Robinson and Carlos Hyde to split first and second downs. If you want to believe that, go ahead and believe that. But I'm not so sure that a team is spending a first round pick on a guy who is as explosive and versatile as Travis Etienne to use him like fucking Jerick McKinnon. I think he's going to go out there and pick up a whole lot more work than Urban Meyer is leading on, along with the fact that Urban Meyer is probably on a short leash given it's his first year as a coach and he has this generational quarterback. If this offense is fucking dog shit, and a big reason for it is because Etienne isn't getting a lot of carries or a lot of touches, you better believe to save his ass, he's going to throw Etienne out there a whole bunch, throw J-Rob to the wayside, and try to prove that his first round pick wasn't a complete and utter waste of draft capital, which I think we can all right now deem it was. But getting into the numbers a little bit, James Robinson was awesome last year, and him losing third down work may not be a huge death sentence to him because only 5 of his 49 receptions did come on third down, and only 8% of his total opportunities last year. He had 300 total opportunities, 240 carries, 60 targets. Only 24 of those, which is 8%, came on third downs. So if he does lose third down work, it won't be too big of a hit to him. But that goes back to the point of me really not thinking that he's only going to lose third down work. I do think that Travis Etienne is a good enough runner and a good enough talent and has enough draft capital to warrant some first and second down run. And as long as James Robinson isn't getting the volume that he was getting last year, then it leads me to believe that he is a loser. He went from like my RB 14 to I think RB 23 or 24. I just don't really want a guy who is going to definitely lose a big portion of his receiving work and a lot of work in between the 20s, whether it's to Carlos Hyde or Travis Etienne. I'm not trying to spend, a fourth round starter pick on that anymore. So he has fallen down my board. He reminds me a little bit of what we saw in Jordan Howard when he started off his career very well. Then he started losing work. Maybe even like a Jeremy Hill, where he did very well with Gio Bernard, and then it was more of a split forward, which took away from his fantasy upside. It's tough. It's real tough. I don't really want to talk about it anymore. I think to say that James Robinson is a winner is foolish. To call him a loser, you may not be as down on him as I am, but you probably also weren't as high as I was pre-draft, which is why he's on this list. He was basically an RB1 for me, back down to a low-end RB2. Next up, 2 rookies that were in this draft, both picked to the same team. Baltimore Ravens, it's Rashad Bateman and Tylan Wallace. Again, these guys are on here because they were very high for me pre-draft. Bateman was my wide receiver 1. Tylan, I think, was 5 or 6. Landing in Baltimore is tough. Having a running back try to throw you the ball is going to be tough. I'm just fucking around. If you're a Baltimore fan, just chill out. But let's be real. Marquise Brown, for as bad as he is and as inconsistent as he is, he's still going to have a role in this offense. Mark Andrews is still going to be a huge red zone threat. And Rashad Bateman, sure, he can be the number 1 wide receiver on this team as a possession guy. But what does that mean when you're throwing the ball 28 times a game? Until it no longer works, Lamar Jackson's just going to keep toting that rock. And he is smart enough and he is a good enough runner to avoid a lot of big hits. So I don't see that changing anytime soon. A lot of people want to draw the comparison between Rashad Bateman and AJ Brown, saying, oh, talent trumps landing spot. The difference is AJ Brown landed in a spot where his quarterback was about to fucking go. Marcus Mariota had less of a leash than an electric dog collar. Like, if he made one bad throw, he was out of there. We didn't know Tannehill would be as good as he is, but unlike Marcus Mariota, Lamar Jackson is not going to be replaced. He is too valuable to that franchise. He's brought them to the playoffs every single year. And whatever you want to say about his throwing talent, he's a good quarterback in real life. He wins them games. He is electric. So because of that, I don't see this offense changing a whole lot, along with the fact that they keep saying this offense isn't going to change, despite them continuously drafting wide receiver year over year over year. They've taken Marquise Brown. They've taken Devin Duvernay. They've taken Mark Andrews at tight end. They've taken Miles Boykin. Yet they're still running the ball a shit ton. I don't think Bateman and Tylen are going to change that. Lack of volume there is the reason why I've lost a lot of hope in Bateman and Tylen Wallace. Bateman, for me, has become an early second round rookie pick, probably my wide receiver 5 at the moment. And Tylen Wallace looks to be nothing better than like a mid third round rookie pick. It's been a tough week or so for us Tylen stands out there. Hopefully they both prove me wrong, but right now I'm just going to bet on the situation really killing their value over talent winning out in a very, very poor landing spot. Two more losers on the same team, not rookies. We got Christian Kirk and Chase Edmonds. First off, let me talk about Christian Kirk. This guy is not good. He has not been good since 2017. And by my count, 2017 is like it's like 4 years ago at this point. The last time he was good, he was playing in fucking Texas. He's in Arizona now. He has never been anything in the NFL other than that like 1 3 touchdown game. He has never been a player that you could slot into your starting lineup and feel good about. So I don't even know why he's on this list. You can't be a loser if you already lost. And he's been lost since he joined the league. So I think it's unfair to put him on this list. But listen, I put way too much faith in him these past 3 years for me to not put him on this list. So Christian Kirk, congratulations, you played yourself.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Number 2, Chase Edmonds. A lot of people were trading first round rookie picks for him. Right now, maybe that's not a terrible thing because this rookie class ended up stinking, but at the same time, people thought he was going to be the RB1 in Arizona. Let me paint you a picture. This guy had one game where he toted the rock more than like 2 times 2 years ago when David Johnson went down. He was incredible. He had like 120 something yards, 3 touchdowns. Next week he gets hurt. The week after that, they trade for Kenyon Drake. This year, Kenyon Drake is gone. You think that Chase Edmonds is going to be the guy. Guess what? Doesn't happen. They bring in James Conner. Sure, he's making like 17 cents, but it's still James Conner. He has a 3 down skill set. He's much bigger. Although he hasn't proven to hold up throughout an entire season, has Chase Edmonds. I mean, last year he was also handed the keys to the castle and he put up 25 carries for 70 yards. He is not a lead back. He is a scat back. He's a decent handcuff that really relies on volume. But you look at what they did in this year's draft, Rondell Moore. I know he's a wide receiver. I know he's tiny, but guess who else is tiny? Chase Edmonds. And you know where Chase Edmonds excels or succeeds is in the passing game, in the short receiving game out of the backfield. That's exactly where Rondell Moore is probably going to run a ton of his routes. If you look back at his time at Purdue, his route tree wasn't anything special, but he's just so electric that you get the ball in his hands behind the line of scrimmage, at the line of scrimmage, around the line of scrimmage, and he's going to burn you and burn you fucking bad. So you mean to tell me that this is the team that brought in Kenyon Drake, brought in James Conner, has not given Chase Edmonds the keys to the castle, and now brings in Rondell Moore, and you think this is his year to break out? Listen, man, I'm not a pessimist. I'm not an optimist. I'm a realist. And I'm the realist out here when I tell you Chase Edmonds just isn't it. You know who else isn't it? The last guy on this list, Miles Sanders. This guy's been tap dancing on BDGE's skull for like 2.5 years now. It's tough. My head is fucking beat in. I've had a migraine for 2 years because Miles Sanders is just trying to reel me in, reel me in, reel me in. He finally gets me on the fucking lure and then he just chops my head off. It's not easy. It's not easy to cape up for a guy that just shows you absolutely zero respect. That's why I disrespected Derrick Henry, and he did what he did to me. So whenever I tout a running back, just expect them to be bad, which is maybe why Miles Sanders will finally be good this year. But listen, it wasn't necessarily the draft that made him a loser. It's the fact that Philadelphia just continues to show no commitment to him being the guy. I know last year he had a few games with a lot of snaps and a high snap share, but I don't care. I really don't care. The fact that they drafted Kenny Gainwell, who has an extremely similar skill set, even in the 5th round, gives me a little bit of pause. The fact that Boston Scott, I think, is still there. This might be fake news, but Boston Scott has proven to be a decent enough part of this offense to command touches. And then they bring in fucking Kerryon Johnson. I know Kerryon Johnson stinks, But do we know that Miles Sanders doesn't? What has he done to this point of his career other than bringing to the table like 3 70-yard rushes last year that saved his yards per carry and salvaged his day like on 3 separate occasions? There really hasn't been much to instill any confidence. And the one thing that he was good at in his rookie year and extremely efficient at was catching the ball. And guess what? Last year, he was either first or second in drop passes among all running backs. Wasn't a good look for the kid. People want him to be Saquon Barkley 2.0 because he wore long sleeves and went to Penn State. Listen, a lot of people went to Penn State too, and let's just say not all of them went down in the history books for the right reasons. So Miles Sanders, to me, although not a direct loser of the NFL draft, to this point in the offseason, whether it's Jalen Hurts probably taking away a lot of rushing volume and not dumping off to his running backs in the backfield, or the addition of Kenny Gainwell, or for some reason them picking up Kerryon Johnson, is why he finds himself on this list. All right, that's going to do it for today. I'm going to be doing a winners list, which will be a little more lighthearted and make you feel better if you own a player on your team. I don't know when that's coming out. I don't even know when this is coming out. I'll probably post this Tuesday. So maybe Thursday will get another one. No promises. We'll see what happens. Whatever happens will happen, and we will move along. If you want to buy the BDGE rookie guide, go to bdge.store. You can check that out. We got like 60 profiles. A lot of bad NFL players are in there, but we wrote them up to let you know how bad they are. We got some ADP. We got, I think the Bible is in the works. Whole lot of good shit in there, whole lot of rankings and all that. So if you're interested, go check that out. If not, just a thumbs up on the video would be appreciated. Hell, a thumbs down will put a smile on my face to know that at least somebody's watching this shit. Comment what you think. Let me know if there's any losers other than myself that I forgot to put on the list. And that's all we got. Subscribe also. I'm just completely selling myself out. But that's all we got for today. We'll catch you guys whenever we catch you. Peace.
Chatham's on. Foolies glad I'm home. Even my haters kinda glad I'm on. Rest in peace to my vagabond. Rapper, song, singer, suspended, subpoenaed for misdemeanors. Dreamer, held back asses, Loki still a deer. And I still shake a boat squat. Praying for my broke. Got city on the come.